scenario is, how do we design voice over IP, QoS to support voice over IP? The clients are soft phones, and the clients do not support RTP packet marking. I'm assuming we mean they don't support SIP either, or any of those. They don't mark at all. The best solution that this person can imagine, mark signaling and RTP ports from switch ports. Is there a way to reserve the bandwidth on demand, like RSVP? And then for those of you people on the panel that care, the environment is a Cisco network, Cisco Call Manager version 10.5, and then Jabber devices running versions 11.9 on Windows 10. John, I think this might be up your alley.
Yeah. So I mean, the solution that they bring up there should work as far as marking at the switch port, just basically by the signaling and RTP ports that are being used. As far as Jabber, the latest versions, I know that I'm trying to remember if they can actually mark it and send it along or not, and I don't honestly recall. But I mean, as I said, the solution that they mentioned there should work. You can also mark it further down the line if you need to, but then I mean, you obviously want to mark it as close to the client as you want.
Does anybody know if Windows 10 supports any kind of QoS marking? I sort of remember that Windows had a QoS engine where you could either via some kind of either application identification or packet identification mark that packet as it left the OS.
Yeah, I thought there was a centralized way to do that, GPO or something. I can't remember what that stands for.
You write a GPO and apply it so when you log in, that policy gets pushed down to your system. That would assume you're in an Active Directory shop.
The challenge is with this, the proposed solution is, how do you identify which packets are voice, because RTP is a range, it's a massive range, maybe by destination IP address and range or something. Because what you would hate to do is have somebody fire up some sort of other UDP application that's very heavy, and all of a sudden it meets the criteria you defined on the switch, and takes over your voice queue.
It seems something else worth mentioning here. I don't know how we've determined that the soft phones and clients don't support packet marking.
Right.
I mean, is that a reasonable assumption?
I thought that the later versions of Jabber do have marking capabilities, but I could be remembering it wrong.
I thought they did too.
Because I'm wondering if person asking the question here, if there's maybe not a trust boundary problem where what's happening is the packets are marked, but they hit the switch and the switch says, I don't trust any of the marks coming in, and just strip all the marks off. That's a pretty normal behavior. That's the standard behavior for a lot of devices, depending on where you're at. Older they are, the more likely are that are not trust. I guess newer code, they may trust, but that's another thing to check. Are your switch ports trusting the marks that flow in? And
the challenge with that part of it too is if you have an application that's marking it in ways that it shouldn't be, and you're trusting those markings, then you have challenges there too.
That's the point of the trust boundary.
Trust but verify, right? But now you're back to the issue of defining that access list or marking policy. To answer the last question about RSVP, sure, that would have been nice, but we, as an industry, went down the other path. So integrated services versus differentiated services.
We couldn't make RSVP. It didn't scale because we had to hold state. We can't even hold a routing table in a networking device properly. How the hell are you going to hold state around QoS configuration? And we couldn't, and that's why it failed, because you actually asked every single networking device in the path to hold the configuration state of the QoS, and you had tunnel. And we can't even do that today. I mean, the only active tunneling solution we have, which is device by device, is MPLS, and they can barely make that worth just to get a path across it. They can't even do QoS inside of MPLS 20 years down the pipeline. So,
well, I mean, we could do quality of service with MPLS, but we can't do MPLS in a public way, right? It's only within a single enterprise environment, with very small exceptions. It just doesn't scale at an internet size.